it's taken over a lot of the brainstorming, some of the creative aspect. It just frees up our time. I think it allows solopreneurs and small business owners the ability to do more and output more with less time. And I feel those who aren't implementing AI or automation into their businesses, I feel they're going to be left behind, and the competition next to them is going to run circles around them. So I think it's a moment for opportunity for a lot of businesses to use AI in the ways AI and automation in the ways that can be helpful to their business without losing that human touch point, that personalization, whether it's automated or not.
Welcome to Gratitude Geek. I'm your host, Kandas Rodarte. I'm a productivity coach helping female solopreneurs build genuine, lasting connections with clients, colleagues, and community. Today, I'm joined by strategic marketing expert, Chris Troka. So we are talking about automated lead nurturing, y'all. Welcome, Chris. So tell us about you. What would you like the audience to know about you?
Kandas, thanks for having me. So 10 years ago, I started a wedding DJ business, eventually grew and scaled that into a team of DJs and photo booth, winning awards as well. And during COVID, I finished my degree in marketing, and that's when I pivoted into starting my marketing agency, talking more about the automated lead nurturing, using these tools to empower a lot of these solo and small business owners.
So before we move into that, I want to talk to you about that photo booth thing. I always thought that was a good idea. Was it a moneymaker?
It is, and surprisingly so, because even 7 years ago, when I thought about initially starting or adding it to my services, I thought with camera phones, who would be interested in paying money to have a different type of camera phone there available? But it was surprisingly profitable, and it definitely allowed me to take on more wedding events that normally wouldn't be interested without having that additional add-on service. So it was definitely a plus. People make that a main income. They just provide photo booth services, and some DJs, photographers, and venues will offer that as an add-on as well.
So for people who are like, what's a photo booth? What is it?
Yeah, so it's a freestanding machine that allows your guests to take a photo of themselves or a group of people, and you can either have that sent digitally to your phone, or you can have printed photos delivered right there on site. So you get a choice of backdrop in the background. There's some fun props included as well. So a lot of guests come in there, they grab some fun props, takes a few photos, and then it's a nice memento for your wedding day.
So I was on Nantucket Island a couple years ago with my husband, and we were at the local history museum for Nantucket Island, and there was a photo booth in the museum. It was absolutely the most brilliant idea. I wish more museums would do this, because I spent the money. And
yes,
I did. I spent the money and I got a picture.
Because you wanted the keepsake. You thought it'd be a cool moment you can capture in time. You're like, I can save this forever.
And they sent it to my phone. They sent the picture to my phone, and so that I could immediately put it on social media. Look where I am. Neener, neener. I'm on Nantucket and you are.
I love that. And it is a great way to just kind of put yourself out there and, again, kind of capture that moment in time that you want to share with everyone.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. Nobody wants to hear about photo booths. They want to know about marketing and automation. So let's talk about this pivot that you made from DJ to automation specialist.
Absolutely. So this was right around the time of COVID. As we know, March 2020, that's when we started seeing events could only be 500 or less, 250 or less. Then it became 100. Then you couldn't even stand within 6 feet from another person. So we were actually about to have our best year yet into 2020. And I think a lot of businesses shared similar sentiment that they were preparing for an excellent year in 2020. Unfortunately, we went from like 66 events down to 16. So we still had a few events, but that's not enough to pay our bills and keep the lights on. So I was still running the DJ business, finishing my degree in marketing, and I said, you know what, this is kind of a perfect time to diversify my income a little bit, use some of the skill set that I've earned from both the DJ business, helping friends and family, and now using the degree as well. So I just used that to diversify my income a bit, utilize my degree a little bit more. So I started helping other businesses with capturing more leads, getting more organic leads to their website, and then helping to capture and then nurture and convert those into customers. Because it's one thing to be more visible, right, to have more awareness. It's another thing to have a cool website and to get some leads. But oftentimes I found businesses just kind of, they followed up once with a lead, and that was kind of it. Maybe they would remind themselves a couple weeks after to follow up. But there's a lot of missed opportunity, and people leave money on the table if they're not providing value-focused content that helps you stay top of mind. So I've implemented this both for my wedding DJ business, for my marketing business, and I do this for other businesses as well. And just a great way to know that your leads are being reminded and nurtured on autopilot without you having to manually follow up with each and every one of them. So it doesn't remove everything, as far as the human touch points that are definitely needed for building relationships, but it does supplement a lot of that work that people might do manually.
So before we move into this automation solution that you have, I want to talk about pivoting some more. Mm-hmm. So 2007, my husband and I had a very successful business. We had 40 retail stores in 25 states selling our products, and we were shipping multiple shipments every week on big pallets. I mean, we were very successful. And 2008, the economic crash happened. But the other thing that happened is that we fired our biggest customer.
Oh, and that could either be good or bad. Tell me more.
We fired our biggest customer because we realized that she was more work than she was worth. So 2008 was a struggle for everybody. I mean, 2008 was the equivalent of 2020 in terms of what it did to the economy. It was just a different kind of impact. In 2020 it was a health impact, and in 2008 it was people were losing their homes, and there was this huge housing bubble. I mean, I can't tell you the number of houses that went empty on the street across. I lived on the perpendicular street, the street that was perpendicular to my house. The number of houses, because that was a brand new street, all the houses had been built in the last few years, and they got these loans that they couldn't afford. Yes. And 2008 hit, they lost their homes. So then in 2000, we made all these pivots, and in 2009 we had our best year ever. So, well, hold on, was it ever? But we had a much better year than 2007. But I don't know if it was our best year ever. Probably. But pivoting is not a bad thing. And if you can survive something like 2008 or 2020, then you can do anything. You want to talk about that?
Absolutely, yes. Same for you, where there's these external influences or circumstances that will come and threaten our business, the way that we do things. And it's up to business owners, entrepreneurs, to be flexible and understand when something isn't working right, or when we need to put a little more effort into something. Because, again, these external factors we can't control, but we can control how we react to them. Mm-hmm. So in the same way you pivoted 2007, 2008, during the housing market crash and financial crisis into 2020 that caused similar things, both of those are just opportunities for us as business owners to try something different. So I realized, sure, I may not be able to do weddings. I may not be able to DJ weddings right now, but there's something else I can do. There's something else that I could provide value for other people. And it's just a new way to work things. So I probably could have done other types of DJ events if I wanted to, but the marketing just seemed like a nice transition for me. And as the years went, again, 21 was our best year, 22 kept growing, and just last year we had our even best year. We began to raise prices, and we did see a small decrease in our clientele, but still strong enough to still have our best financial year ever. So I feel like knowing when to pivot, just being flexible to changes, keeping your ear to the ground to see what other businesses are doing or what consumers are saying or your clients are saying, and that can just help you be more informed to make better decisions. Now, it may not always work out. Us entrepreneurs know there's probably like 9 failures before we get to that, actual successful one. But all of those are learning lessons. It's the foundation upon which we build our next business idea and venture. I don't know how it was for you as well, but it feels like you're more resilient after something like that happens, and you feel more confident in yourself. So that's my thought. How was your experience with that as well?
Well, I've been a business owner for almost 30 years, and actually, if I really think about it, I've been a business owner since I was 18 years old.
Yep.
But I didn't do it full time until 27 years ago or so. And in that course of time, lots changes and there are economic downturns. One time the power went out at our shop, and we could have gone home, but instead we went out and found a new customer.
Wow.
We loaded up the car, we went and looked for new customers instead of pouting about it. So it's resilience. It's also mindset. So another example I have, and the reason why I'm harping on this is because you made a huge pivot. And I think that's an important part of this conversation. Automation is great, and we're going to talk about automation. But you made a huge pivot. I want to talk about someone I know personally whose business would have translated beautifully to virtual. She had an in-person business that would have translated to virtual seamlessly. And she couldn't see past her office and meeting face-to-face with clients. And so she shuttered her business instead of transitioning. Whereas if she had transitioned, she would have been able to serve a much bigger audience.
Yes.
And that's a mindset.
It is. And were other people still recommending this to her? Did she not believe that was an option?
I think she just didn't believe that was an option. Yeah.
Yeah. Because also trying something new can be very scary, right? And if it's something not in the way that we typically deliver or fulfill services, that in itself can be even scarier. There were moments even during COVID. I actually, it's funny because during COVID, I had tried out maybe for the past year doing some drop shipping. So having an online retail store of wedding accessories, all the fun light up glow sticks, maybe some of the light up trinkets that you would put on there. And what could have been a great opportunity for me, I didn't realize later. I was like, okay, no one's having a wedding. No one's going to be shopping. The world's shutting down. That was it. And I couldn't see the opportunity that people are going to be buying and planning for their future wedding. And the only shopping that's happening right now is online. Mm-hmm. So for me, even myself, I missed a huge opportunity by closing that drop shipping store. But I feel like what else transpired from it, it was creating that marketing agency. So I think long term, I said, this is going to be more fulfilling, where I feel like there's going to be more demand, more value. But I kind of do regret not seeing that as an opportunity. And I could have restarted something, but who knows? It's just kind of one of those crazy things about life. You don't know. It's like the what ifs and what could have been.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there were people who still got married, and they just did it on Zoom, right?
Yes.
They had their ceremony with their parents, and then they had the camera set up, and people watched it. I actually attended a funeral on Zoom during the pandemic. So
yeah. It's like, what else can't we do via Zoom?
Yeah. So you just, it was there. It was available. When the pandemic started, I already had everything in place because I was already doing video coaching, right? There was no big deal. It was like, okay, nothing's changing for me. The only thing that really changed is I didn't have to get dressed anymore from the, waist down ever. Like, I literally am not dressed right now from the waist down. Pajama bottoms and a nice top, right?
That's what I'm talking about. Just business up top, party underneath.
Exactly. Exactly. And but that's a shift that we all made. One of the greatest things I ever did was I started using a service called Honeybook to manage the workflow of my podcast. And it has automations for everything. So when someone fills out my form and says, hey, I want to be a guest, an automation takes them to my scheduling page. And then an automation is the welcome letter. I'm looking forward to interviewing you. Here's what you need to know. And there's an automation that says, thanks for your interview. Here's what you need to know when here's when it's going to go out, and here's what you need to know between then and now. And then an automation goes out. Your episode is live. Here's what you need to know. And then there's an automation that says, send a thank you card. Right. And so then I get the reminder to send the thank you card in the mail. And then I have an automation that tells me that, all the things in place. I love automation, but I have a tool for it.
Yes.
And I can't live without this tool for my podcast. I just gave you guys a very brief lesson on how to automate your podcast flow. So talk to me about automation for everybody else, because that's the way that I use automation. And that's just one of the tools. So Tell me about your tool set, what your ideas are there.
Absolutely. A lot of great CRMs exist and automation tools, and sometimes they come together very nicely. Or you can make programs talk to each other, what's called webhooks or APIs. So if your CRM doesn't have everything that you need, sometimes you send it out to another tool like Zapier. Or if your CRM has it, you're able to use it. But the automation piece is so crucial, especially when you're trying to grow and scale. Could you imagine trying to do all those manual follow-up emails about what to expect? Here's what you need to know. We're basically taking a step back and remapping the entire customer's journey, their entire experience, from the moment they land on your website and fill out that form to that last thank you reminder that your podcast has been published, or, so great having you on the show. So all that manual work, you were able to put it into an automation. And a lot of the times these systems can be smart. So we'll know, same for our podcast, we'll use a follow-up system. If someone hasn't booked their podcast session yet within 7 days, we'll send a follow-up reminder. And that's only possible if you can do some segmenting within your audience, right? So if someone has performed an action or hasn't, then do this. So it's kind of like your most basic software, if-then sort of circumstances.
That's a really good addition to my workflow. Thank you.
I was just going to say, any ideas you get, please add it. So yeah, if obviously there were guests, they were interested, they filled out the application. If they haven't booked yet, then we'll send another reminder. And just creating that entire customer journey, everything you mentioned is here's what to expect. It's all providing value. It's staying top of mind. You're basically walking them through the entire process there, so that way they feel confident. You look more professional and organized because you have all your stuff together, and they're like, wow, all this branded material, automated emails.
I don't just look more professional, I feel more professional.
Yes. And you're able to get out of your head, right? Mm-hmm. Because instead of thinking in your head, okay, I have to follow up with this person this week, and 2 weeks out I need to do this, put that into an automation, put that into a system, so that way it's doing the work for you. That way you can spend your time just focusing on the human touch points. Like you said, do a handwritten thank you card. Wow, that wouldn't be possible if you were manually writing emails. And when you can increase that more personalized human touch point, it just makes your business so much more relatable and professional.
No, I don't do handwritten cards. I have an automation for that as well.
Do you? but it writes it in cursive.
My thank you card is a photo of the artwork from the show with a personalized note inside sent through a system.
That's cool. I like that. But still, there are moments where a human touch point might be necessary. Sometimes in automations there's either a hiccup, or maybe you decide, Zoom has been great for podcast recording, but I'm on to Riverside now. So now you're thinking, who do I need to restart in an automation or reset up? So that allowed you time to work on your business instead of inside of your business.
I want to go backwards for a second, because the thank you card that I want you to think about this, because you're going to receive one in the mail shortly after your episode goes live. Uh-huh. It is a photo of you with the artwork from the episode. Tell me that's not personalized.
That is hyper-personalized, way
even though
beyond
it's not
what
my
many
handwriting,
other people.
even though it was sent through a system, that is a hyper-personalized thank you card.
It is.
That is a personal touch. It's super simple. I mean, I'll put a link to the service that I use in the show notes, y'all. But it's so, it makes me feel good to send it, and it's simple, because all I have to do is upload the photo and type a message, and it goes out, and the appreciation on the end. I mean, I get thank you cards for my thank you cards. I have one on my desk. Hold on, I just got one. I just received in the mail, like yesterday, a thank you card for a thank you card. What did I do with it? I don't know what I did with it. I had it. It's over here somewhere. Seriously, I get thank you cards for my thank you cards.
That's incredible.
It is incredible.
They were so touched that they needed to follow up again.
So what I'm saying is that automation can be that personal.
It can. And have you seen what AI is now doing to personalization?
Share.
It is
because
incredible.
I use AI every day, but share.
Of course, yes. So, for example, in my podcast system, now I have an internal large language model available. So it grabs all of your guest details and puts it into the large language model, and it'll spit out 3 titles, 3 descriptions, and 3 social media posts that I can use for context. Isn't that cool? Now.
Gee, I wonder what I did this morning when I was making my notes for you. Did I put your notes into a large language model and ask for a topic? Maybe. Yes, I did. I even have 10 questions to ask you if we run out of things to talk about.
See, that is brilliant. It's taken over a lot of the brainstorming, some of the creative aspect. It just frees up our time. I think it allows solopreneurs and small business owners the ability to do more and output more with less time. And I feel those who aren't implementing AI or automation into their businesses, I feel they're going to be left behind, and the competition next to them is going to run circles around them.
Yeah.
So I think it's a moment for opportunity for a lot of businesses to use AI in the ways AI and automation in the ways that can be helpful to their business without losing that human touch point, that personalization, whether it's automated or not.
Yeah. And again, I hate to harp on her, but it goes back to my friend who didn't see the benefit of taking her business virtual. Mm-hmm. People who are not seeing the benefits of what AI can do for your business are missing out. I had a conversation with someone this morning about it. She's all, I was resisting it, and then I went to this training, and now I'm going to play with it. And I was like, let me give you a heads up. Here is a prompt that you can use to get the information, because I knew what she wanted. Use this prompt, and it'll get you the information you want. And she's all, and like, I've done this a little bit. But trust me, if you use this prompt, you'll get to the answer you're looking for better. So let's talk about follow-up, because one of the things that you said at the beginning was that people only follow up once. And this is old research. The number of times that you need to follow up with somebody before they make a sale is an average of 8, right? And a lot of folks take more than 10 follow-ups. So if you're only following up once, you're missing a sale.
Absolutely. And this is something that a lot of people overlook, and I think they just don't have time to follow up. But in addition, a lot of people focus on just getting new leads into the funnel. They think I just need more leads, or I need better qualified leads. And in reality, you have a great list of leads already. You just need to nurture them a little bit more. And I often find that it's not value-focused follow-up. Oftentimes, it'll sound like, hey, me again. You haven't bought. Would you like to buy? And it's just really focused on the sale. Now, if you could change that into something a bit different, that one, you stay top of mind, you're reaching out, but you're providing value, and oh, by the way, I'm here if you need me. That is, it's a little less invasive when you're following up. And if you can personalize that, that's even better. So what I'll do is, within automations, you can basically kind of understand what pain points someone was, came to you about, either not having enough leads or they need help with social media. We have an AI system that can look for newly published articles and send them to a client, because you basically added that tag as a topic of interest. So now when you reach out, it looks like, hey, I just ran across this article and I thought of you. I thought you might get some use out of it. But that in itself was an automation, but looks hyper-personalized, because you're basically understanding your audience a little bit better and just setting up automations to do that work for you.
Are you doing that through HubSpot?
No. Does HubSpot have that available?
I was wondering, because I read in your bio that you were a HubSpot professional or a HubSpot trainer, and I was like, how are you
HubSpot
doing
certified.
this?
Yeah, so HubSpot certified. Currently, I do have my own CRM system that I run both of my businesses from. It's a competitor to GHL, but a very capable system. That's the one that I'm using, the AI podcast. I put all my clients in it.
So you're not using GHL, which everybody is using now. It just seems like every time I turn around, someone says that now I'm using this. It's like, okay, do you really need that many features? Do you?
Right. If it's all wrapped into one price, I can see that. But, HubSpot's pricing model is they give you a very small subset of features, and you really have to pay for more. Their lowest entry point is $49, and it goes up to $800, $1,200 plus per month.
Yeah, but I've been using the free version of HubSpot, and it's perfectly sufficient for my needs as a solopreneur, the free version. But Absolutely. I only use the CRM. And again, I use HoneyBook to automate my podcast, but HoneyBook is a different kind of CRM. It is very project-based. So it would be good for a wedding DJ because it's project-based, which isn't good for anything else.
Right,
So it's
right.
fantastic for podcasters. It's great for people who work on projects like weddings or web design or things like that. It's a very project-focused CRM. So it's perfect for the podcast, and I absolutely love it. I'm never giving it up. And then Go High Level and HubSpot, they are so complex. You know, they're so it's like HoneyBook is too simple for unless you're project based, and geez, HubSpot is just there's so many features, right? And so people kind of, what I ended up doing, because I really didn't need the complexity of HubSpot, is I ended up going with ConvertKit or Kit for my email list, because it made more sense for what I need. So I actually am using HubSpot, HoneyBook, ConvertKit, and Notion. Four different ways of connecting with people.
And hey, that's what works for you, because it's the set of tools that best works for your business. Because you're right, the free version of HubSpot can be great as just a regular CRM, but once you need to send any extra emails beyond one confirmation email from a form submission, you're kind of stuck, and then you got to pay X amount of dollars. I was just working with a colleague who was so excited about his free trial of HubSpot. He built out this really nice lead nurturing automation for his insurance agency, and suddenly they wanted $800 in order just to run that one automation. So yes, it's like finding the right tools and what is capable and what is at the right price point. Because yes, it's like, yeah, you can go with these big name brand softwares, very capable, but if you're only using a fraction of what the tool provides, it's time to look for other tools. And sometimes we can even put these tools together. So for you, as an example, you could, if needed, make your HoneyBook talk to your HubSpot in order just to keep those records synchronized for each other. And then that one could then fire off another automation. But yeah, it's like those become the glue and the communication piece between the others. But it's about finding the right tool that works for you. And at the right time, just like you went from Zoom into Riverside, there's going to be a new tool that comes out that sparks your interest, that serves you better than what the previous solution was doing for you.
And that is how you stay resilient as a business owner, is you don't get stuck in a rut. If you are stuck in a rut, people are going to leave you behind, right? There's going to be there's going to be a better productivity coach out there who takes my place, and my clients are going to leave me and go to her or him, right? It's like with HubSpot. It's not designed for people like me. It's perfectly fine for solopreneurs. The free version is perfectly fine, but it wasn't designed for solopreneurs. So there is going to be a CRM that comes along that is perfect for people who are solo, like don't have a team, right?
Yes.
I don't know what it is yet. Do you have it? Is it yours?
It could be, absolutely. definitely capable. It's a robust system. For us, we put all of our clients in it because oftentimes they don't have something, or they're putting a few tools together, and it just makes sense for tracking purposes that we put it into our system. Similar to HubSpot, with HoneyBook. HoneyBook came around, was originally just a CRM and invoicing platform. And they focused heavily on wedding vendors back in 21 and 22 as part of their growth program. So we saw them all around. Then they were doing a free setup for everyone, and they were like, just come into our system. So they had a great business model in order to grow and expand very rapidly. Then they used that money to make better tools within their own system there. Entrepreneurs want something that's more capable, more robust when they need it, but they don't want complexity. So it's just like, what are you looking for from your system? What do you need? And then we can put some of our marketing magic into that, because it's, sometimes you don't just want to take exactly what the client gives to you. They give you copy and pictures. I think they're kind of hoping for you to lean on you for, your experience, what has or hasn't worked in the past, to kind of pretty up some of the conversation or the branding that they have going on currently. So that way it's a more effective campaign, and it serves our clients better.
Yeah. Well, this isn't 2000 anymore. It's 2025, and a lot has happened in 25 years. Like 25 years ago, we had Microsoft Access, and that was about it. And if you couldn't figure out how to use it, you were screwed.
That was so like it was still I wouldn't say early on into the internet phase, but still within the early adaptation and adoption phase of the internet, because it was still until 2006 until YouTube first became a thing and actually published the first video. And look at where that has become. But it was
Was it really
the Wild Wild
2000?
West.
I thought it was before that. I mean, my YouTube account is from 2000. I started it in 2008. I posted my first video on YouTube in 2008.
No kidding! Wow, you were one of the OGs.
I launched my first internet-based business in '99. First YouTube video in 2008. Started a YouTube talk show in like 2011, 2012. Launched my podcast in 2014. Yeah,
you're a pioneer.
I am a pioneer. Is exactly what I am.
You're ahead of the game on so many of these things that take a while for a lot of people eventually pick up on and adopt. And it's funny because myself, even though I was like, I'm 36 now, I was kind of born into technology, but still had experience with, typical mechanical manual processes. But over time, I was still the last person to get an Instagram. I was the last person to get a YouTube account. Like, I feel like I'm the late adopter in this situation. You're like the first one there.
I've always been into, geek is in the name of the show, right? Gratitude Geek. Uh-huh. The geek, emphasis on the geek. I had, when I was 10 years old in 1980, the year was 1980, I took coding. I was in fourth grade, and I was the only girl in the class taking a coding class. We used cassette tapes. Remember cassette tapes? We used cassette tapes as our memory.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was the only girl in the class. And we bought our first computer for our house when I was 13, probably. So we had a computer in 1983. It was a couple years before any of my other friends had computers. Yeah. So my dad taught me to be a geek. I learned it from my dad.
It was a good influence. And I think a lot of that helped you. Do you feel like a lot of that helped you throughout your business journey? Being more tech savvy?
Yeah. Because, who says, let's just launch a business on the internet in 1999? Who says that? My husband and I did. Right? My dad, because my dad was an electrician, he taught me how to build my own computer. Right? So I always just upgraded all my computers myself. And so did my husband. We were both really geeky. We don't anymore. I think my husband built my computer here that I have. But, we aren't as geeky as we were because things are just a little bit more complicated. But I remember my dad taking his soldering iron and a memory card that wasn't working anymore. And he took a soldering iron and he took half of it off with the soldering iron and then it worked again. So electronics works that way. Now they put all these stickers on stuff and you can't open it and it'll void the warranty and all that. But, if you aren't afraid of technology, you can make technology your friend. You just have to make friends with it, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's not to say, it's not a love-hate relationship with technology sometimes too, because sometimes it's not doing the things we want it to, or, it just misbehaves sometimes. We're like, oh, that's a bummer. Sometimes we have to clean up after the messes that our technologies make. But, without it, I feel like we wouldn't be able to experience a lot of things and progress a little bit further in our business. And you can't scale without systems, because the first thing, like if you're trying to sell your business, the second thing behind asking for 3 years of accounting is what processes do you have? Mm-hmm. Because if it's all in your mind, well, unfortunately, you really don't have anything that you would be able to sell or, that can be built upon. And it makes hiring and retention that more difficult. If you don't have a set process for anything, how can you take one person and if they leave the company, who's going to replace them? That time to train is invaluable as well.
My husband and I read the E-Myth when we started our business, and we put our systems in place, and they were so simple that we could hire college students and high school students to build our products.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Because we have this, here's the system, here's the pictures, step-by-step guides. We had books for everything. This workstation, here's the book that goes with it. Cookie cutter. And we were making custom furniture. We were making highly bespoke custom furniture for movie stars and Fortune 500 executives, and we had high school students and college students helping us. Because we had systems. But without those systems, this is how you do this. And then after you're done here, you take it to this station, and this is how you do this. Yeah, I interviewed David Jennings, who wrote Systemology, which is the new E-Myth. Have you read it yet? Systemology?
No, I haven't.
Highly recommend it. Anyway, it's as easy as checklists. If you don't know where to start with your systems, just start making checklists. As you're doing your work, like as if you're a podcaster, as you're going through the podcast steps, write down everything you do. And the next thing you know, you have a checklist that you can give to a producer and say, okay, here's everything I've been doing to produce my show. Now you do it.
Yes.
That's how simple a system is.
That sounds way less complicated than what others have described as far as trying to build out your system. You literally just need to start so simply. That checkbox idea is fantastic because, yes, it just kind of outlines the steps that you take. And once you have that, lined out, you're able to replicate and repeat that through someone else instead of yourself. So now you've cloned yourself. So you can have like 100 Kandases running around building custom furniture or running these processes, the automations behind the scenes. It's just, technology is fantastic. AI is changing the game. It's making things easier. And I'm excited to see where that trend takes us with AI.
I am too. So let's shift focus again because, I keep getting off track today.
We're having a great conversation.
You talk about this thing called friction in the buyer's journey. What does that look like?
Absolutely. So friction in the buyer's journey is moments where a lead or a prospect gets stuck. Something doesn't work, or they have more questions, or they're not confident. That friction point is a moment of, it's pause for them to reconsider. Is this the product that I want? Is this the company I want to work with? If you make it as easy as possible to go through the next steps to the sale, you're going to find your conversions are going to go way up. You're going to have more pre-qualified prospects going through your system for you. So the friction is just what we experience when I go into a McDonald's and there's no one at the front desk and it's only the kiosk. And one of the kiosks is broken. The other one is busy. There's a line forming. It's like, is this really the place I want to be right now? Is this the business I want to support? So the friction in the buyer's journey is something that we want to eliminate as much as possible. And if you find yourself getting unqualified leads through the system, you can add a little bit of friction in, sometimes via questionnaires or surveys. But the friction is something you want to consider is how easy it for someone to get all the information that they need to make an informed decision and move through the entire funnel. What this looked like for my wedding DJ business is I implemented a 3-step funnel. So you can build your own DJ quote online. You can find your add-ons, add your hours of service. The second step is to sign your contract and pay your retainer, right? The third step is going to be submitting your music and timeline template. So this was kind of a marketing funnel, right? People can quote themselves, so they get their own price. You don't have to wait for me for 6 hours to get a personalized quote. You can get one right on the website. They can move right through to the contract. People don't have to reach out to me and say, hey, can we get an updated contract, or would you be, can you send us what that looks like? We make it available online. Go check it out on the portal. And that third step. So it's just a nice, easy way to show what your buyer's journey looks like, and removing the friction within that is so important for converting those sales. So we actually had someone who found us on Google, didn't even reach out to us and ask if we were available. They just submitted the deposit and signed the contract. And they said, from what we read online and found here, you were the right fit. So we wanted to book you as our DJ. And that's a $1,200 sale. It's like, wow, people can be convinced enough. You don't need human touch points always if you have a really great system that removes friction.
Well, what you said earlier, though, you said sometimes if your funnel is too broad, you need to add the friction.
Yes.
So let me tell you something I did. I was receiving, I'm going to say 500 pitches a year. I want to be on your show. It's probably more than that. Mm-hmm. And I only have 52 spots. So I added the word feminist to my funnel.
Uh-huh.
And that means that now people are removing themselves from interest in being in my show. And I'm getting clients that are more aligned with my belief system.
Yes.
And I was afraid of doing that because feminist could be a bad word.
It can.
But I'm about uplifting women. So why not add the word feminist to my keywords, right?
It was that is the perfect moment to add pre-qualification. You're like, okay, how do I find someone who aligns with my values? Only 52 spots, 500 applicants. You can't manually review all those. What can I add in there that, is really going to find the right fit for me? And that was amazing. You actually did it. People are unselecting themselves from the application process because just one small checkbox or one little wording.
Mm-hmm. And then that means that the conversations I'm having, I'm actually enjoying more. Because I don't know what your belief system is before the interview, but I can find out during the interview, and then I'm like, I don't want to release this episode at all.
Oh gosh, those are tough. Everything can be going great until they just say the one wrong thing, and it's like, oh gosh, and it's like, for me, it's like, yeah, we want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt and maybe open up opportunities to everyone. But again, our time is valuable too. So if you're not making the right connections and it's wasting your time,
it was such a simple shift. It was so, and I was resistant to do it, but it was the right keyword. It was the right word to add to be the filter, to add that extra friction so that the wrong guess would be like, oh yeah, I don't want to be on that show. Right. But then then other guests are like, oh, I totally want to be on that show. Right.
Right. And they're going to put more effort. And even people who might not feel like, oh, I'm full blown feminist, or, just the perspective of the word itself. Yeah. If you feel like, okay, I can still align with that, okay, yeah, I'm on board. And then they're like, Kandas, I need to work with you.
I'm not a full-blown feminist.
No, right,
I just, when I think of feminism, I have this vision in my head that I didn't think was me. Mm-hmm. But I am about uplifting women. You can't get more feminist than that idea.
That is brilliant. I love that. And for us, we primarily work with women. And I don't know if it's because women are easier to work with and they're better communicators, and that's why we like them as clients. But it just seems to be the right fit, that our communication style, whatever we bring to the table, is the right fit for a lot of these women entrepreneurs, which I love. And I always joke in like networking groups, and I'm like, ladies, do you ever feel like men can be a little bit stubborn? And then the men might groan, and I'm like, well, if you disagree with me, you're only proving my point. And it's just a funny little way to kind of like make fun of that, But we do find that, we have an ideal client. We have an ideal industry, people that align with us, on personal values or just creativity. And those are the people we want to align ourselves with. Like, you want to fill up your room with the people that you like and people who are going to appreciate and value just as much back.
We need to start wrapping up. Wow, how did time fly as fast as it did? Holy moly.
Great conversation. Great people chatting. This is what happens. I love it.
How can the listener get a hold of you? How can they find you?
Of course. People can find me online, christroka.com, going to focus-biz.com, or just toss my name into a Google search. I'm sure one of the great podcasts that I've been on, like Gratitude Geek Podcast, all of those are going to be great options to find me and reach out to me.
And, of course, it'll be in the show notes. And, the best way to access the show notes, y'all, is to get on the e-list. So sign up for the newsletter on the website. Go over to KandasRodarte.com. It's not on GratitudeGeek.com, sorry. If you go to KandasRodarte.com, you can sign up for the newsletter, and the newsletter will have Chris's contact information. So that's the best way to get it. Fastest, easiest, no having to Google search. It's just in your inbox. Love it. What is one easy to implement automation tip that any solopreneur can start doing this week?
This week, absolutely. So if they're not already doing it, I would definitely suggest their lead into customer portion of the journey. So just what blogs or content or information, education or experience do you want to share with your ideal audience about who you are and what you do? This will suddenly create value-focused content that you can integrate into some of the follow-ups that will just provide value for the client. It's going to make you look more professional and organized, all put together, and you'll start to watch more leads asking more questions, replying to those automated emails, and furthering the conversation within that journey. So that would be my one tip, is just focus on that lead to customer funnel portion.
So what would that look like?
Absolutely. So typically, lead into customer is going to be a form submission on a website, and it's going to look like an email follow-up. So first, you want to give them some information to start, let them know you're going to follow up personally. Typically, people are trying to go for like, book a meeting, sign up for this. And those are great calls to action. But oftentimes what we should focus on is just getting a reply. Just get a reply. So really focus on working with asking questions. So the more questions you ask, you don't want to put a bunch, 1 to 2 questions focused around their service. For the DJ side of business, I'll ask if our DJ quote was within their budget. Does it include everything that you were looking for? For the B2B side, I might follow up after a proposal. I'll give them about 5 to 7 days, and I'll follow up and ask, did our proposal include everything that you were looking for? Did you have questions? And if not, what would the ideal proposal look like for you? So again, within your follow-up, we want to provide value, but also ask questions to gain a reply. So if you start to get that conversation going, boom, you're suddenly having a human-focused conversation, which can lead into a customer.
That's really good. That's a really good tip. I want to add to something I learned from my coach, Liz Skelly. She said, let your automations do their job, but also insert that one email from yourself. So customers are going to expect that the emails they receive are automated because it's 2025. But if you start the email, hey, Chris, this is real Kandas, not automated Kandas. I'm just following up. Or, hey, I just wanted to touch base. Or, I saw that you downloaded the guide to being a guest on podcasts. Have you been a guest on podcasts? Where are you on that journey?
That is a great follow-up.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's something that, anyone, if you have a download that they are downloading, you can follow up that simply. Hey, this is real Kandas, not automated Kandas. How you doing?
Right. How you doing? What's going on? It is so funny. I love that tip because I've done that as well. You want to throw in a little human touch point, but there's also been times where I feel like people have replied to my automated email thinking it was me. Me personally. They're like, oh, hey, I just wanted to reply to your email real quick. It's like, wow, oh, okay, that's super cool.
Well, that means you've written them well. If you've written your automations
I like to think so.
Good, human enough, then people are going to think they're interacting with a real human.
I think so too, and it's not to be disingenuous because I do want to, be upfront about, hey, this is an AI assistant, or just kind of give them a general feel of the automated sequence. But yeah, the more human and conversation focused you can make it, I feel like that's easier to get a conversation started.
I don't have my email service open right now, so I can't tell you what the name of it is, but I had a help request for ConvertKit, which is now called Kit, and I had a question about something I was working on in Kit, and I sent them a little message through their little chat button, right? And I got a response back saying, "Hi, I'm just going to call him Sam. I can't remember if his name was really Sam. Hi, I'm Sam. I'm the AI help desk." And he and I had an actual conversation with each other. It was. And then when we were done, he was like, "Okay, well, now I'm gonna close this ticket because it seems like we're done with this conversation." And I'm like, "How?" It was very much like talking to a real person.
Yes,
but it didn't need to be a real person because the question I had could be answered by an automation.
Absolutely, and oftentimes I feel like we don't even want to bother a real person at certain instances. It's like I just need help locating access to a resource or something. Yeah. I know there's a blog that exists, but where can I find it? Or do you have anything particular to this issue? And these AIs are now able to have more conversational tones to follow up with you and point you in the right direction. So it's an incredible tool. I love automation. I love AI. And when it's integrated properly, I feel like we almost expect this self-service and we don't need the human touch point. But I love having the human touch point as an option, because there are moments where I really need to speak to a human. I'm talking to you, Google and Facebook. I really need to talk to a human, and your automated AI support is not helping me at all.
Okay. All right, Chris Troka, this is your moment of gratitude. For whom or what are you most grateful?
I'm so grateful for all the past mentors of my life that had some sort of impact in me some way or another, whether it was my dad who either allowed me a place to stay or a little bit extra money when I needed it to help fund my business ideas, to even some of the very strong female bosses that I've had who have inspired me taught me about communication. They taught me about marketing and tools, and eventually kind of gave me the idea to become a DJ. So they supported me in many ways before. Katie, Corey, Kelly, Andrew, thanks so much. I appreciate you all so much. Big influence on my life and for the reason I am who I am today. So super thankful for all of my past mentors. Super grateful. I wouldn't be here without y'all. So hopefully I can keep doing things the right way, keep them all proud, and hopefully forward that experience and knowledge to other people who needed it just like me back then.
Thanks for tuning in to Gratitude Geek, the podcast for grateful micropreneurs building genuine, lasting relationships with clients, colleagues, and community. Our theme music is by Rev Brock and Soul Lily. A huge thank you to our guest, Chris Troka. You can find his links in the show notes at gratitudegeek.com. This is episode 269. I've been your host, Kandas Rodarte. Stay groovy, my friends.
Stay groovy.